Hey moms, today I have a special guest. Her name is Dr. Dolapo Babalola, or Dr. Babs as we call her. She is a holistic doctor and she has some great advice for moms. I can't wait for you to hear this episode. Stay tuned. Hello, moms. Welcome to the Front Parking Spot podcast. I am so glad you're here. I'm Jennifer Basma, wife, mom, grandma, former teacher for 23 years, and now a Christian children's book author and your podcast host. Are you a faith-based mom trying to live out a Christian life for your family? Do you want to learn more ways that you can have power over your child's spiritual growth? Inside this podcast, you will find tried and true ideas to grow in your faith and be the best wife and mom you can be. So listen in as you're cleaning up, doing the drive, or matching that sock, and be encouraged to know that God has his front parking spot set aside for you. Hello, moms, and welcome to the Front Parking Spot podcast. Today, it is my privilege to have Dr. Dolapo Babalola. She is a triple board certified family, obesity, and lifestyle medicine physician, an adjunct clinical professor at Morehouse School of Medicine, and the owner of Living at Your Finest Wellness, a membership-based holistic and integrative direct primary care practice in East Cobb, Marietta, Georgia. Dr. Babs climaxed her academic career as a professor and director of undergraduate medical education before she transitioned to opening her own direct primary care practice in July of 2023. As a family physician, Dr. Babalola provides full-spectrum primary care services to people of all ages and genders. Her area of expertise is helping individuals and families live at their finest well-being, using evidence-based lifestyle interventions to prevent, treat, not just manage, and in most cases, reverse lifestyle-related chronic diseases. Dr. Babalola is a wife, mom of three, author of an inspirational book, adventure seeker, podcaster, lover of God, and a community builder through her engagement as a physician walk leader for the Marietta Walk with Doc Organization and other community empowerment initiatives. Welcome, Dr. Babalola. We're so glad to have you.
Thank you so much. It's an honor for me to be on your platform. I love your podcast. I've listened to your podcast and I'm like, wow, such amazing work that you're doing. So thank you so much for this privilege to join you on this podcast.
You know, I just love, we've met at a women meeting every month, and Dolapo, whenever you talk, you just have such a wealth of information, and the women in the room just listen to what you say because you are speaking to all of us. And I know you've been there because that's how it gives you the expertise to talk about it, along with your being a physician. Like, I just share your story with our listeners. How did you get to be you?
Yes, well, I give all the glory to God. I always, sometimes I feel like pinching myself. I'm like, wow, the journey that I've come through is just God. If not for God, I would not be where I am. So my journey, I am the oldest of four kids. I'm originally from Nigeria, and my father wanted to be a medical doctor, but lost his mom at a very young age. So he changed from medical school to become a professor in physiology, so neurophysiology. So I feel like that's where the passion for medicine came. It was inborn. And being the fact that I'm the oldest of four kids, there's this nurturing thing that I've always had. I had all these dolls and I was really trying to fix them and get them well again. So fast forward, I got into medical school. Thank God I was able to make it in. And then, we were taught how to diagnose a disease, but we were only taught how to treat it. We were not taught how to repair it. Right. And, when I was a child, I always wanted to fix things, make things better. I grew up in the church and I understood the power of prayer because I'd seen so many miracles rather, my siblings healed from diseases and so many things like that. So in medical school, I felt, okay, yeah, I love caring for patients, but I don't want to just give a prescription. I want to do more than that. I want to heal, and knowing that God has used me as a vessel to do that. So that was where the passion came to go into medicine and also to provide whole person care because God is the maker of this human body, right? So he knows how to not only prevent it, but heal it if it does occur.
Oh, 100%. I love that because I think the whole world and especially our country is understanding there is power in holistic medicine. Because, so many people are so quick to just, other physicians to just push pills. And I know I don't like taking any pills. Like, unless I'll take an Advil if I have a headache now and then. But give us for the moms listening that feel that they may be taking too many pills. It's the first thing every doctor gives you. They're not at fault because they're just going with what their doctor says. So
Yeah.
what advice and what would you tell these moms that kind of find themselves in this pickle that these doctors are just giving them prescriptions?
Yes. So that's a great question. So, just going back to the origin of all of that, it's really the training. Like I said, the training, just that we were limited in our training, but also the time, right? So you only have 10 minutes, 15 minutes with a patient, and that's the easiest thing to do. Just take a pill and not get to the root cause. And for me, I had to go on my own journey when I was struggling, just being overly stressed. A new mom, had little kids, and having headaches, blood pressure being high, and then going back to visit that God has healed me in my inner body and praying to him to reveal what I needed to do. And that was when he said, you need to start praying more, you need to journal. So, and all those things started working. So the 3 blood pressure medicines that I was on, I was able to taper off those medicines because just like you, I do not like taking medication,
Right.
but I didn't want to be on the meds. I didn't want not to be on meds because I didn't want to die of a stroke. So there is a place for medication, but we need to understand that medication, you just don't want to be on it to mask like a band-aid, right? You have to
Right.
get to the root cause of the issue. So what I say to mothers is that understand which your provider, so your physician, whoever you're with, ask them, is there any other options? I understand that I might need to take it, but do I need to be on it? Be empowered, be your own self advocate. Do I need to take this long term? How long do I need to take it? What other options are out there?
Right.
As a physician, I knew that there are other options. My body could heal if I reduce my stress level, right? If I ate
Right.
better. And so that was what I did. I took the meds and I was able to taper off, even though my doctor was like, no, you have to be on blood pressure medicines for the rest of your life. I was like, yeah, no, no, no. I've prayed to God and that's not it. And I know that the body has the ability to heal. So that's what I tell my patients. I tell them, do you want to be treated or do you want to be managed? So you have to ask yourself if you're somebody that wants to be treated and just not managed, because that's really all the medication is going to do. It's not going to get to the root cause of the problem. So that's the first thing. Have that conversation, feel empowered to talk to your doctor, whoever is in front of you. And then also, if you need that support, because again, life is outside the four corner walls of a clinic, right? It's what happens when you go home. It's what happens when you're, on the dining table. They say that we make a lot of damage with our a fork and knife. And there was a documentary I was listening to a few days ago that said that God wants us to live long. But
Yeah.
do we want to live long? That's the
Right.
question. So we can't say one thing and do another thing. And so for that, you might need to be empowered. What are the foods that I need to eat? And the regular doctor is not going to teach you that, unfortunately, because they don't know that.
Right.
We're only given 2 weeks of nutrition class. So you want to be empowered. And I know sometimes it gets overwhelming. There's so much information online. So again, this is a Christian podcast. You want to ask God, you want to pray, seek his face. And he's so good at directing us because that's what I needed to do. God directed me to the Academy of Lifestyle Medicine. And that's where I got my additional training to learn the kind of foods, when to eat it, how to eat it, and stress management and all the other things. So those are the 2 steps that I'll say. Start off by having the conversation with your doctor, making sure, are there other things that you can do? And then also researching about what condition you have and what other holistic approach that you can use to take care of that particular condition that you have.
Oh, that is great advice. And one thing I find when I go to the doctor, sometimes I have all these questions and, you just really need to sit and write things down on your
Yeah.
phone because
Yeah.
when you get in there, like, how's it going? Oh, fine. Then you forget and then you leave, you walk out and you forget all the things you were going to ask. And I think like what you said to really kind of take control of your own situation because
Mhm.
so many times people don't question a doctor. Like because I am amazed at what you do. I mean, the amount of schooling and how you understand the the body is just incredible. But I mean, I think we just, as patients, when we go in there, we just have them on such a big pedestal that we don't really know to ask the questions and to
Yes.
say. So I love what you said about what can I do instead of medicine? What can I do? What health things can I do? And we've talked about this before, but everything you do, it's slow. You just don't overnight get better from
Yeah.
from your chronic stress or from that. But I like it's just starting making lifestyle changes. One thing I've learned, and I'm going to ask you this in a second too,
Okay.
it's like the younger children shall lead you. Like my kids are, my one daughter's a nurse practitioner, and then my other two kids are really into health.
Okay.
They've been teaching me, and you can teach an old dog tricks, right? But and I'm going to be asking you what is a real quick thing that you did in your diet to be more holistic. But I've learned from them, and I've researched it since, that the oils that we've been eating and
Yeah.
in our foods, they said, Mom, you're only going to use avocado oil when you heat anything, saute anything,
Love
avocado
it.
oil, and then olive oil on your salads, but you don't heat olive oil. I'm like,
Oh,
oh wow. Or you can actually use real butter, like when you're trying to do something. All the other stuff, the vegetable oil, the canola oil,
great
the
oils.
sunflower oil,
Yeah. Hmm.
so bad for you. So that's one thing I did that I'm feeling enabled. And I'm really starting to eliminate sugar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
sugar just does, it's an addiction. And I know my brother is in a cancer diagnosis right now, and I've been learning a lot about that, but
Mhm.
sugar feeds cancer.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You're right, and applaud your children for empowering them. That is
Right.
so. I love to hear things like that because I'm so passionate about families being healthier, and we always want to start. I feel like the mom. I mean, when I think about some of the things I fed my kids because I thought they were healthy, I'm like, oh my gosh, I did this to my kids, and then the kids are so hyperactive, and you're wondering, And I grew up being a sweet tooth, but
Yeah.
unfortunately the sweets then compared to what it is now, oh my gosh. So as you can imagine, all the inflammation that goes along with sugar, any added sugar is bad for us and it feeds cancer cells. So to your point, yes, a lot of times we think that our doctors are be it all and you can't question them. Please, you are the best doctor. You know yourself, you know your body. And if any doctor that you're seeing belittles you or it shuns you off, that is not the right doctor for you. You can fire your doctor and
Right.
find one
100%.
that will work for you. When my patients come to me and they have a list, I'm always happy. I thank them for coming with a list. I'm like, oh, I don't want to bother you. That is what I'm here for. Bring it on. I'm only a vessel that God has brought in here. I can't do it all by myself. I need you. It needs to be a collaborative. So that's the first thing. And then in terms of the foods, yes, we all need to be label readers. Please learn to read labels. Don't just assume everything. I learned the hard way because I thought everything that they claim is healthy, but
Right.
you need to pay attention to added sugars, the oils.
Hmm.
If there's fiber, did you know that only 3% of Americans are fiber efficient,
Really?
meaning that we don't have enough fiber. The minimum amount that we should have is 25 grams for women and 38 for men. And only 3% is meeting it. Why? Because our fiber-rich foods are plants as close to the soil as possible. But if all we're eating is carbs, 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 which unfortunately they've taken a lot of things out of it and added to it, that is not carbs. The white flour, white, all of that, that is not healthy. So we're talking about whole food, whole grain.
Hmm.
So you don't get enough fiber in all those things. So I always say, first thing, be a label reader.
Okay.
Pay attention, know what it is. And I do have a YouTube video, which I'm happy to share with you so you can
Please
share with
do.
your listeners how to read labels. Because I did this with my son. It was so beautiful because they all had to learn. We all had
Right.
to learn to change our eating habits. We were able to reverse not just blood pressure issues, diabetes. My husband went from an A1C of 12 with all the complications that you can think of with diabetes because sugar in the bloodstream just damages your vessels. He was able to change it and become a normal blood pressure range by just nutrition. Nutrition is foundation. So I will share that video with you, but learn about what is in your food. So two main things, you want to increase your fiber
Okay.
right? Because that's where you decrease all the inflammation. You have all the antioxidants because our body, as we age, it's if you don't maintain it, it's going to, depreciate. And the way you can prevent that is making sure that you eat foods that will nourish your body and your gut microbiome.
So is that like salads and is it like spinach and
Yeah,
like
spinach,
arugula?
broccoli, asparagus, the greener the better.
Green.
But
Okay.
all the, say you have your vegetables, it could be starchy or non-starchy. So it's very broad,
Mhm.
but you want to start there. So you want to also have whole grains. So whole grains would be like maybe your brown rice, your quinoa, your belly. Some people are gluten, but
Mhm.
you at least want to avoid whites altogether.
Okay.
You
So
want to
avoid
have
white rice. No white rice. Not
now,
even
if you're
potato.
having it, I try to say not to stay in the world of restriction, but if you're having it, please make sure half your plate is mostly veggies and you're
Okay.
not like eating a whole bunch of rice. So when we say rice, a fist is usually your measurement and your greens need to be double fist, right?
Okay.
So that's the way. If you're not somebody that wants to measure, I'm not somebody that likes
Yeah.
to measure. I just say
I'm not a
have
measurer.
yeah, have your round plate. Half of your plate should always be your greens. And then the other half, you just split it into your protein and your carbs. So does that make sense? So
Yeah.
protein, carbs, and then you double with your veggie. So every time you're eating, whether it's a meal or a snack, we just need to retrain ourselves because we're creatures of habit, but we need to train ourselves and nourishing foods that would help us avoid those chronic diseases, right? Not just in us as parents, but a lot of younger kids are being diagnosed with the diseases that they get in their older age. So it's a family affair. Women that are listening, please know that you have the power to make these changes. I had to make these changes for my kids, and then we started noticing an improvement in their behavior,
Right.
and health overall. So nutrition is one. Physical movement, very important. We're not meant to sit. We are, motion is the lotion, is what I say. We have to move and be active because the muscle is a metabolic organ. So each time you get up and you contract it, it's making the glucose that you use efficient. So that will be another holistic approach. Moving, even if it's after dinner, everybody go for a walk. I know you were talking about walking in the mornings, right? That's
Yeah.
good with your pet. Play outside, do something, and then sleep. We don't talk about
Mm.
sleep enough. Oh goodness. God meets us in our sleep. He restores us. I mean, the amazing work that God does during our sleep. I wish that we would all just get out of our way and sleep. But that's one thing that helped me when I had that blood pressure problems because it decreased my stress level, which is the cortisol level.
Hmm.
So sleep and then stress management. So those are the
Wow.
four big that I talk about: nutrition, physical movement, your sleep, as well as stress management. And stress management could be anything like breath work. I
Oh,
love breath work because when you breathe, we all breathe, yes, but do we breathe from our diaphragm, right? So when you breathe, yes,
I'm trying it now. I'm like,
I like how you adjusted your posture. So
yeah.
when you breathe, what you do is that you stimulate your vagus nerve, which gets you into your parasympathetic mode, which relaxes you, right?
Mhm.
So it takes you from your fight or flight mode that we tend to be, which increases your cortisol. So you just take a deep breath and you can count for four and then let it out for another four.
Oh, I like
So
that.
4 sets of that. It's called box breathing. Inhale for four, then let it out for four. And that's so powerful. The power of the breath. And what I add to that is affirmations, words of encouragement, scriptures. You add all of that, that decreases your stress level.
Ooh,
Things that you think that, the enemy has captured your heart and your soul, it's released because not only are you in tune with your breath, but you're in tune with what the word of God says about you. So that's what we practice. That's how I practice my, medicine. And I encourage my patients to adapt that. And personally, been able to get off blood pressure medicines. It's been 16 years now, and I have patients that do the same. So again, medications have its place, but if you're only using it as a band-aid, it's not going to serve you. And unfortunately, long-term medications have side effects. So always
right.
ask the question, what else can I do? Get the support you need and do the research. Make sure it's evidence-based medicine and just not somebody sharing their own opinion. It has to be full of the evidence.
Oh, we know the medicines have side effects. Just watch a commercial.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, and
Yeah.
I love that. I think the whole audience was doing the breath. I love that. And so when you say box breathing, do you do 4 times of the breath since it's like
Yes,
square?
yes. So when I say box breathing, let's see if I have a box here that I can show. Okay, yes, I do. All right. So something like this. So it's called box breathing. You inhale for 4.
Okay.
You
Going
hold that
across.
inhale. I like that it shows fate on you.
Yes, I
So you
know. I
inhale.
know. So we'll have to be audio because they're not seeing our video right
Ah, they're
now.
not seeing it. Okay.
So
So
just think of a box, a
a
square.
box. So you inhale for 4. You
Uh-huh.
hold that inhale. You let it out for 4.
Oh,
And you hold before you begin again.
okay.
So it's like a box. So
Okay.
4 by 4.
All right.
Inhale for 4. Hold that inhale that you took, but for 4, and then let it out for 4.
Okay.
And then you hold that exhale, and then you start all over again. So that's
Okay.
what
Then
it
you,
is,
oh,
box
so you do
breathing.
it all the way around. I love
There
that.
you go.
I
So
I was
beautiful.
writing this down. This is great. So nutrition, motion. I like motion is the lotion. That's a
Is the
great.
lotion. Yes.
Number 3, sleep. Because
Yes.
moms are like so busy. They're not getting enough sleep, mom. You know, you need to do that better. 4, stress management.
Yeah.
And that would be with the box breathing
Yes.
and, you know, popping in those prayers because, you know, and if you're stressed, that's what I say. Ask the Lord, Lord, reduce my stress, please, you know, and while you're breathing and stuff.
Yes. Yes.
How can our audience find you?
Yes, yes. I am on Living at Your Finest. My podcast is called Living at Your Finest. And then in terms of my website, I am on LAIF. I can spell that LAYF, which stands abbreviation for Living at Your Finest.
Got
So
it?
it's laifwellness.com. And on social media, I would love to connect with you. Social media, I love to just empower and enlighten and just educate my community. So please reach out to me on Living at Your Finest Wellness on social media, whether it's, yeah, Instagram and Facebook. That will be the way to get in touch with me.
That is awesome. And we'll have all that written out in the show notes. So I'll take all that and we'll put in the show notes for our listeners. Oh my goodness. Dolapo, that was so great. Thank you so much for being here. I've learned a ton right now, and I hope I know the moms did too, as they're going on their busy days. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. Take care, everyone.
Well, mamas, thank you so much for joining in. I know you are super busy doing all the things that can consume your day, but you took a couple of minutes to learn how God wants to build you up in your faith, family, and life, and He wants to applaud you for this. Please subscribe and review my show. This helps other moms tune in as well. I'd love to connect with you on Instagram at Front Parking Spot, on Facebook at Front Parking Spot Mom Community, or my website at jenniferbasma.com. Have an Ephesians 3:20 type of day, mamas, and be encouraged as you go for the front parking spot in your life today. God bless.